The Honourable Speaker, Sir, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Cabinet Ministers and Assistant Ministers, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, Sir, I rise in this August House to offer my full support for the 2026-2027 National Budget presented by the Honourable Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development, Honourable Hon.Jovesa Vocea. This is the fourth time I'm offering my support for the national budget since entering Parliament in December of 2022. And I do so with deep sense of conviction and trust that with the able leadership of our Honourable Prime Minister, we are moving in the right direction. I do not understand why the critics about the budget is coming from the other side of the House, when everything is running smoothly in our beloved Fiji. Last week, I was in Indaribatu, where the Honourable Prime Minister was chief guest in the commissioning of the newly refurbished DO's office and quarters. He received overwhelming support and accolades from the chiefs and the people of the 5 houses in Tholo North. What they were saying is that we are moving in the right direction. So if you are criticizing the budget under his leadership, please go down to the people in the rural areas and maritime areas and witness for yourself the support this government is receiving, especially from the people who dwell in the rural and maritime areas. I join my minister, the Honourable Moses Mbulitawu, in commending the Honourable Minister for Finance for presenting a disciplined and forward-looking budget under the theme, A Responsible Budget for a Sustainable Future. This budget recognizes the fiscal constraints facing our nation while continuing to protect essential services and direct available resources towards programs that will produce practical and lasting benefits for our people. Mr. Speaker, Sir, the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Risk Management has been allocated $35.4 million for the 2026-2027 financial year. This allocation includes approximately $15.95 million for operating expenditure and $19.45 million for our capital investment. Our responsibility now is to convert this allocation into tangible results for rural and maritime communities. The Ministry will therefore implement its budget through 5 important principles. First, ensuring that projects are properly prepared before implementation. Second, commencing procurement early in the financial year. Third, strengthening divisional and district-level delivery. Fourth, engaging communities throughout project implementation. And fifth, closely monitoring both financial and fiscal progress. At the beginning of the financial year, every funded program will be supported by an approved annual work plan, procurement schedule, cash flow forecast, implementation timeline, and clearly assigned responsibility. Priority will be given to technically ready projects so that implementation is not unnecessarily concentrated towards the end of the financial year. Mr. Speaker, Sir, our divisional commissioners, provincial administrators, district officers, and assistant district officers will remain central to implementation. They will coordinate consultations, verify community priorities, monitor contractors' performance, identify implementation risks, and provide regular progress reports. Communities will also be engaged from project identification through to completion and handover. This is important because community ownership strengthens accountability and the long-term sustainability of government investments. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Community Access Roads, Footpaths, and Footbridges program, commonly known as CAV, has been allocated $3 million, an increase of approximately $750,000. The ministry is targeting around 60 projects across the 4 divisions. Priority will be given to communities where poor access affects school attendance, medical referrals, agricultural production, access to markets, and safe movements during emergencies. Each project will undergo community verification, technical assessment, and transparent prioritization before work begins. Mr. Speaker, sir, the self-help program has been allocated $1.3 million, an increase of approximately $322,000. The ministry intends to support around 50 community projects. The self-help program promotes partnership between government and communities. It encourages communities to contribute labor, materials, or other resources towards projects that they have identified as priorities. Funding will support practical infrastructure, including community facilities, small water systems, and other initiatives that improve living conditions and strengthen community ownership. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Rural High-Risk Water and Sanitation HRWS program receives approximately $684,783 with around 30 projects expected to be implemented. The ministry will prioritize communities facing unsafe water sources and inadequate sanitation. Project designs will consider water quality, accessibility for persons with disabilities, environmental sustainability, and arrangements for ongoing maintenance. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Seafaring Entrepreneurial Assistance Program receives approximately $293,478, targeting around 30 projects. The program will support eligible maritime entrepreneurs engaged in transport, fisheries, inter-island trade, and other livelihood activities. However, the ministry will not only distribute assistance. We will strengthen beneficiary screening, provide business guidance, and conduct post-assistance monitoring. This will help ensure that public investment contributes to sustainable business employment, food security, and economic activity in maritime communities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Rural and Outer Island Development Program, ROI, is allocated approximately $2.93 million. This program will increasingly focus on rural economic transformation. Investment will support productive infrastructure, processing facilities, cooling and storage facilities, value chain development, and resource-based sectors such as agriculture, fishery, and forestry. The ministry will also work closely with sector ministries, cooperatives, financial institutions, and private sector to identify investments that increase production, reduce post-harvest losses, strengthen market access, and create employment with our province and districts. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Rural Housing Assistance Program is also allocated approximately $2.93 million with around 90 housing projects targeted. Priority will be given to vulnerable households, particularly elderly persons, persons with disabilities, low-income families, and those living in unsafe housing conditions. The Ministry will strengthen beneficiary verification, material management, construction supervision, and certification. Given the significant number of applications, assistance will be prioritized transparently according to vulnerability, housing condition, and project readiness. Mr. Speaker, sir, the allocation of emergency water supplies has been increased to $600,000. This will support water cutting, water tanks, fittings, and other emergency interventions for communities, schools, and health facilities affected by drought or major disruption. Divisional teams will maintain updated information on vulnerable communities and available water sources so that assistance can be modified quickly and fairly. Mr. Speaker, sir, on National Rural Development Policy, the budget will also support the Ministry's Change Management Program and the continued development of the National Rural Development Policy, or NRDP. This new NRDP is intended to move rural development away from fragmented project-by-project interventions towards an integrated, place-based, and results-focused system. During the financial year, the Ministry will complete the necessary policy consultations and technical work, consolidate provincial and divisional priorities, and clarify the roles of ministries, local institutions, communities, the private sector, and development partners. The $200,000 provision for consultations and promotions under general administration will help support structured engagement, policy coordination, and stakeholder participation alongside normal ministry operating resources. The NRDP work program will include the development of an implementation framework with clear outcomes, responsibilities, financing arrangements, and monitoring indicators. It will promote stronger alignment between national policies, divisional plans, provisional priorities, and community needs. The Ministry will also strengthen coordination with the Tauke administration, advisory councils, and sector ministries so that communities receive integrated solutions rather than separate and disconnected projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, rural development must be supported by reliable evidence. The Ministry will therefore strengthen community profiling, geographic information system, rural databases, and project information. This will help government identify service gaps, map vulnerable populations, prioritize investment, and measure whether development is reducing inequality between urban, rural, and maritime areas. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the NRDP will connect policy with implementation. Existing programs such as ROI, CAF, self-help, rural housing, water, and sanitation will become practical delivery instruments for wider rural transformation. This means that every road, water system, housing project, or livelihood investment should contribute to broader provincial development, resilience, and economic opportunity. On the whole of government support for rural development, Mr. Speaker, sir, rural development cannot be delivered by one ministry alone. I therefore acknowledge the allocations provided to other ministries and agencies whose investments will complement the program for our ministry. The Ministry of Public Works, Meteorological Service, and Transport has been allocated approximately $821 million. With this allocation, the Fiji Roads Authority receives around $370 million, including $26 million for new sealing and upgrading of community and rural roads. Government is also progressing the upgrading of approximately 82 kilometers of rural roads and 22 bridges. These investments will connect rural communities to schools, health facilities, markets, farms, and essential government services. I also welcome the $10.5 million provided to the Water Authority of Fiji to maintain and expand rural water supply. This complements our ministry's high-risk water sanitation and emergency water programs. Better coordination between our agencies will reduce duplication, close service gaps, and improve reliability and resilience of rural water systems. The health sector allocation will support the upgrading and the rebuilding of primary health care facilities in rural and maritime areas, including facilities at Kambara, Tukavesi, and Balibuto. Digital connection for primary health care facilities will also improve communication, referrals, and access to essential medical services. The allocations to agriculture, fisheries, and forestry are equally important. Agriculture funding will support extensive services, mechanizations, farming access roads, markets, and export production. Fisheries funding will support aquaculture, seaweed farming, ice plants, and fisheries stations. Forestry funding will support rural and maritime forestry development, including maritime pine resources and associated infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, sir, these should not be viewed as separate investments. Roads must connect productive farms to markets, jetties must support fisheries, forestry, and inter-island trade. Water systems must serve homes, schools, health facilities. Telecommunications must connect communities to information, financial services, and government assistance. On NDRMO, preparedness, response, and resilience, Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Disaster Risk Management Office will implement its activities in accordance with the National Disaster Risk Management Act of 2024 and the National Disaster Risk Reduction Policy. The focus will be on shifting from a predominantly reactive support approach towards prevention, preparedness, anticipatory action, coordinated response, and resilient recovery. A total of $2.2 million has been allocated for the construction and the retrofitting of evacuation centers, with approximately 50 projects across the 4 divisions. Projects will be selected through risk-based prioritization and technical assessment. The ministry will also work with communities and relevant technical agencies to ensure that evacuation centers are structurally safe, accessible, inclusive, and supported by basic amenities and appropriate management arrangements. The NDRMO also receives $235,000 for disaster risk reduction support, targeting approximately 11 community projects. This funding will address urgent risk reduction needs, particularly where smaller interventions can reduce exposure to hazards and protect lives, homes, and essential services. Approximately $253,125 is provided for the repair and maintenance of operational emergency equipment. The ministry will maintain an updated equipment register, preventive maintenance schedule, and regular readiness checks. Emergency equipment must be functional before a disaster occurs, not repaired after it is needed. The allocation of $194,400 for NDRMO operational mobility vessel will support completion of this important capability. The NDRMO operating program will also support training, public awareness, coordination meetings, and national readiness exercises. Mr. Speaker, sir, disaster risk management is not the responsibility of the NDRMO alone. It requires participation by line ministries, disciplined forces, provincial and municipal institutions, civil society, faith-based organizations, and private sector development partners and communities. Our objective is to ensure that responsibilities are understood before a disaster, coordination is effective during an emergency, and recovery assistance is accountable after an event. Mr. Speaker, sir, successful implementation will not be judged only by the amount of money spent. It will be judged by the number of projects completed and the quality of infrastructure delivered, the number of people assisted, and the improvements experienced by communities. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget provides the ministry with a realistic platform to deliver targeted rural development, strengthen disaster preparedness, and support the transformation of rural and maritime communities. It balances fiscal responsibility with investment that protect lives, reduce vulnerability, improve access, and create economic opportunity. As Assistant Minister, I will support my Honorable Minister and the Permanent Secretary in maintaining close oversight of implementation. We will work to ensure that geography does not limit opportunity, that vulnerability does not become a permanent disadvantage, and that every public investment contributes towards a safer, more resilient, and more inclusive Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend the 2026-2027 national budget to this August House and reaffirm the Ministry's commitment to responsible, transparent, and results-driven implementation. Thank you.